Hey, what's up, Scallywags? Was gonna go down and see my son today. Bought a new house, but he's working weird hours today, so I'm gonna go tomorrow. But I'm gonna run over and see my brother Bobby. His mom died not long ago, and ever since he got off drugs and got his head on straight, not many people come by anymore. I told him it's not personal. It's just, people don't come by. They're busy chasing them drugs, and I know I was there. It's not personal. They just got one track mind. Get that dope, and that's all they care about. You know what? I don't want to wear the heavy leather. I'm not going to be outside that much. I'll wear my Blues jersey. My good old St. Louis Blues jersey. I'm so glad when they won the Stanley Cup, Bobby Plager was there. All the Plager brothers played for St. Louis at one time or another. That's what that movie Slapshot was based off of. It was the Plager brothers. Oh, shit. Drive over to the east side. I still got to do that electrical here. That's going to be fun. Every time I mess with electricity, I get shocked. My wife always says, turn the breaker off. Oh, I don't need to turn the breaker off. Okay, guys, I'll be back. Sully, you're the man of the house, okay? Protect Mama. I'll be back.
Front door.
I'll be back. Be a good boy. Protect Mama. Amy.
Front door.
Lock and load. Because I'm a convicted felon, the only way she can own a gun is she has to keep it locked up in a safe, and I can't know where the key is. So every time I leave, I tell her to get that gun out and lock and load. I'm a knife guy myself. At least there's some honor with knives. You can defend yourself against it, but them damn guns, man. I got a gun and you ain't got a gun, you're done. But I think every woman that can own one should own one. It's a great equalizer. If somebody tries to mess with you, you can defend yourself and shut them down. I've been going through those old videos of mine on Instagram. There's a lot of them with my daughter on there. She still lives out in Arizona, and I don't know about other men, but when my little girl was born, it just totally changed the way I looked at all women. I don't know. I think the Creator should make every man have a daughter before he has a son. When you have a daughter, you start looking at all women like somebody else's little girl. And you ask yourself, would I want my daughter treated like this? And if the answer's no, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. My mother told me many times in real life when she was alive, and then after she passed, or on her deathbed when we were up at the hospital, she said it too. She said, of all your children, your daughter is the most like her father. And she is. She's hell on wheels. She ain't got no back down. She's all heart. And just like that movie says, though, you show me somebody that's all heart and no skills, and I'll show you somebody waiting for a beating, you know. There's no back down in that girl, though. We got an argument one time, and she got her ass whooped, and I'm trying to whoop her ass. She popped right back up my face. She ended up getting a stool out of the kitchen that Amy steps on to get things in the top cabinet. And she slammed it down in front of me and stood up on it so she could go nose to nose with me. I had to leave the house. I was so damn pissed. All three of my older children, I've spanked their asses when they needed it. My youngest son, Josh, I never even slapped his hand. The reason for that, though, when we brought him home from the hospital out there in Arizona, I held him up in the air like the Lion King. And I said, God, I did the very best I could with the other three. This one's yours. Do something amazing with this kid. And I figured if he ever needed any discipline, the good Lord would do like he does to me. I mean, the Bible says God chastens those he loves, you know. But see, God, he knows me. He made me. And he knows he can't just give me a little rap upside the head and get my attention. When God chastises me, I get hit with like a 4x4 post right between the eyes. Drives me down to my knees. Because he knows a little slap upside the head ain't going to do no good. St. Louis has always been one of the top, usually the top every year on murder rates. They go by per capita for every 100,000 people. How many murders are there? Last year we didn't get first place, and that's a good thing. But I tell you what, people around here have lost their damn minds. Though we've had some pretty crazy stuff happen here lately. We had these. I guess it was about 2-3 years ago. There was 140 something children shot in the crossfire from the gang violence. And I don't know how, these guys want to call themselves gangsters. Gangster don't drive by somebody's house spraying bullets and killing innocent children. That's not gangster. A gangster is about making money, and a real gangster, he don't even want to be noticed. And a gangster ain't going to drive by a house spraying bullets because he might not kill you. A gangster, you'll be sitting there 1 minute, and then the next minute you'll get two behind your ear, and it'll probably be somebody real close to you that does it. But if you have no moral values and you don't think that shooting a child, even if it's on accident, is wrong, which it is, from a gangster point of view, you should realize that if you shoot a child, the public presses the police more. They want to know who did it. They want them caught. It draws more heat on you. So from a gangster point of view, a real gangster, the last thing they want is to injure a child. They don't want heat on them. It's not gangster. Not at all. None of that shit's cool anyways. I used to think that was the cool stuff. Going out, getting in fights, acting a fool. Those ain't the tough guys. The real badasses are the guys that get up every single day and they go do their shitty job to make their money and feed their family. Those are the real badasses. I don't know how many fights I've been in, too many. And that 15 years I was out in Arizona, I did right. I worked every day. I was home with my wife at night. I raised my family. And it was harder, hell of a lot harder, than going out and fighting and getting crazy. Every time you get up and you go out and work in 115 degree temperature out there in that Arizona Sonoran desert, digging holes and working as a carpenter out there, and every time you do that, you're giving a little bit of yourself every day so that your family got food on the table and lights and electricity. And that's the real badasses. Any damn fool can pull a trigger on a gun. It don't make you smart and it don't make you tough. It makes you stupid. We got the wrong heroes in this country. And I know why it's like that. I mean, it's glamorized in music. Hollywood glamorizes it, you know, Colors and Boys in the Hood and all them movies glamorizing it. Ain't nothing fucking glamorous about it. Most people in that lifestyle, they find their way to the grave, prison, or both real early. And it's just no future in it. And if you ask somebody that's active in that lifestyle, they'll tell you the same thing. They'll tell you the same damn thing. It's not glamorous at all. Most of my friends were dead before they were 35 years old. I've had friends shot by the police. I've had friends that have hung themselves, killed themselves. I've had friends killed in drug deals. Most of them overdosed on drugs. Joey and Jay, they were brothers, and they thought it was real cute to go down East St. Louis, and that's when the crack cocaine hit the streets. And a guy put his hand in the car, you know, with the crack, selling crack, and they thought it's real cute slapping the guy's hand and taking off. And picking the crack up that got knocked in the car. I told him, I said, you better quit doing that shit. Them boys ain't selling that to get ripped off. And they didn't listen to me. And they went down there one day and did that. And the guy that sold it to him started shooting at him. So Jay had Joey pull over. Jay gets out with the pistol, started shooting back, and two dudes come out from in between the housing projects with an automatic weapon and just blazed Jay. Killed him dead. Joey took off. They found Joey 3 blocks away hitting a straight shooter. Getting high. His brother just got gunned down in the streets. Because he thought it'd be real cute to go down there and try to rip the crack dealer off like that, slapping his hand. They recognized him. Them boys ain't selling that shit to have somebody come down and act cute and knock it out of their hand. And then, you know, your own brother, your brother just got killed. You got bullet holes in your car and you're 3 blocks away smoking crack cocaine. Just fucked up, man. I tell you all kinds of beautiful stories about drugs. What it gets you. And everybody thinks, oh, it ain't gonna happen to me. I'm too smart, or it happens to other people. Oh, here come move on. Oh, man. organization. Oye, ¿cómo va? Está bueno para cosa. No. Va. Oye, ¿cómo va? The machine says English or Espanol. Me llamo Marcos. Marcos, el niño perdido. Me llamo Marcos. Mi esposa es muy bonita y muy simpática. Más cerveza, por favor. Oh, shit. Okay. But yeah, I mean, damn drugs. Knew another guy, I don't talk to him no more. We were real good friends. Real good friends. His kid got cancer. And he stole some of his kids' pain medication to get high. You've lost your soul when you're going to steal your kid's pain medication while he's dying of cancer. He was getting that at-home nursing, and nurse caught him trying to steal some of the meds out of the bottle. I mean, that's just ate up. And then I heard that he's the one that got his nephew and his niece addicted to heroin. And don't know if it's true or not, but there's word that I've heard from a couple people that when his nephew was overdosing, he just left the house, didn't call 911, nothing. And last time I saw him, I told him, I said, you don't need to even come by the house no more, man. I don't even want to see your fucking face. Seen somebody get out of the car walking fast to the door, so I opened the door and he tried to shake my hand. I just knocked his hand away. I said, you got about 5 seconds to get off my property. I'm going to beat your ass. Don't come by no more. I don't respect you no more. If I don't respect you, I don't even want to see you. I'm not the type of person that's going to go around somebody I don't respect with a fake smile on my face. You know, the whole time I was doing drugs, I'd like to tell myself I wasn't ripping nobody off or nothing, but I was taking money out of my family's mouth. Good things that they could have had. So I could stay high and forget about my childhood, you know. But see, not many people admit that. There's lots of things as drug addicts we don't want to admit. But the truth is the truth. I'll have to put that picture of me up right before I got off of heroin. Every once in a while I'll put it up just to let people see what I looked like then and now. I was ugly, both pictures, but I weigh 240 pounds right now. I'm 6 foot tall. When I got off of heroin, I weighed 149 pounds. And I had tombstones in my eyes. I looked like the Walking Dead. Like I had AIDS and cancer. Knew another girl, Lisa Peterson. Oh my God. She was a beautiful girl in high school. When she passed away, they found her and her boyfriend sitting side by side on the couch. With one of them had a needle in her arm. They both overdosed, mainlining, and they were dead for a while before anybody noticed. And the dog had eaten a bunch of her face off because it was hungry. Her mother couldn't even give her an open casket funeral because the dog ate some of her face. And this is a woman that was a beautiful young lady. Very beautiful. And the reason nobody noticed for a while is it was late in her addiction, and usually by the time somebody gets that far in their addiction, they've pretty much burned all their bridges, ripping people off. That's where my mother got raped, right there in them apartment buildings. Guy used to babysit us. And I didn't know about that till I was 35 years old. No, I was about 37. My stepmom used to tell me all the time, your mother didn't love you. She didn't want you. You gave her stomach aches. That's why you ended up here with us. I mean, I can close my eyes and I could just see her gritted teeth, that snarl on her face, and damn hate in her eyes. She told me that all the time. And my dad never said that, but my dad never corrected her when she was saying that. So I thought my mother didn't love us and want us. I thought that's why she sent us to live with my dad. But that's not why she sent us to live with my dad. Found out in Arizona what happened. I remember the police being there. I remember the bloody mattress. But I was little. It's like 6 years old. You don't tell a young kid like that something like that. I understand that. But for my stepmother to tell us repeatedly that our mother didn't love us and want us, that's just wicked. I lived with my dad from like 4th grade to 8th grade. And then in 8th grade, my mom yanked us out of there, and we moved over to the east side where I'm heading now, because I remember that too. My dad, when my mom and dad got divorced, my father had no parental rights whatsoever. None. My mother let him see us out of the goodness of her heart. The judge gave him no parental rights. And he couldn't even take us to the doctor or anything. And I was in 8th grade, my brother Kenny was in 6th grade. And Mom took Kenny to the doctor because he was spitting blood. And the doctor said, I need to talk to you about what's going on with him. And she said, what's going on? And the doctor said, well, it might be best if your older son waits out in the visiting room. Mom goes, he could stay in here. And the doctor said, what kind of environment is this child living in? And my mom said, he lives with his father. Why? And the doctor said, this child has 2 bleeding ulcers. He said, do you know what kind of stress it takes to cause a bleeding ulcer? This boy has 2 of them. Stress is a mild word for what we live through over there. I'm 50, I'm pushing 60 years old in 2 more years. And I'm here to tell you, I still struggle with a lot of shit that went on in that house. They'd start arguing at night. I hear my name come up, and I'd just start shaking in bed because I knew what was coming. I knew what was coming. I was going to get beat up over every square inch of that fucking house. And then whenever he's kicking me tell me to get my ass back in bed, yelling at her saying, "You happy now?" We walked on eggshells constantly. I was not taught how a man was supposed to treat a woman. I had to teach myself that. That's why I used to take the shit, because I love my father. You know, when you are constantly chastising a child and telling them how worthless they are and knocking them around, the child don't stop loving you. He stops loving himself. And I always put up with it for my father's sake. I didn't want to cause no problems with him and her. And when she started lashing out at my wife and my children, that's when I said, I'm done with this shit. And I quit going around. Well, then I went up to see my son Josh up in South Dakota, and he got his birthday present from them. He goes, I need to call him and tell him thank you. And I heard her yelling at him, "We heard your father's there. You could call us when he's not there." And I snapped. That was all I could take. I said, "Bitch, my fucking kid called you to tell you thank you. You don't yell at him. You don't involve him in this." She goes, "I'm getting tired." I said, "Bitch, I don't give a fuck what you're tired of. I'm tired of you, you ignorant bitch." And then she hung up the phone. So then I got in the shower, and the phone starts ringing. I reach out and grab the phone. It's on the sink there, and I'm trying to swipe it. My hand's wet. By the time I get it swiped, I heard my dad telling her, "Oh, I'll straighten his ass up." And he hung up, so I called him back, and I said, "I'll tell you what, I straightened my own fucking ass out." I said, "You come over to straighten my ass out, what comes out that front door ain't gonna be your son. I'm gonna give you everything you gave me, my brother, and my mother in one lump sum." And I'm glad he ain't been by yet. It's been 3 years since I've talked to my father. And believe me, I have looked at the chessboard. If there was any way that I saw that was my last channel I spent, my whole message was, bad things happen sometimes when we're kids. But if you start doing drugs and drinking to numb yourself up so you don't have to deal with those bad things, and if you do like I did, I don't like hurt, but I was familiar with violence. So I just convert all that hurt into anger, and I raged against the world. I was fighting all the time and staying high all the time, and when you do that, you continue to be a victim. Except now, you're the one hurting yourself. The way you become a survivor is you succeed in life. You deal with that pain positively. You talk to somebody. You go to a counselor. You deal with it positively. And that's how you become a survivor. You succeed despite what you went through. That was my whole message. That's all I wanted, was to tell my story, and hopefully some young person would hear what I'm saying. And if one person altered the course of their life, and dealt with their pain positively, we got a country of scarred up children in America. A bunch of them. The one thing that's always been at my moral center is you don't hurt a child. You just don't do it. And sometimes words can hurt worse than a fist. There's a poem, I can't remember who wrote it, but it's called Children Learn What They Live. And it's very true. My father was an extremely hard-working man. Very hard-working man. He always paid child support. When it was his turn to get us on weekends, he always picked us up. And that is owed a certain amount of respect. Most of my friends don't even know who their dad was. So that's owed a certain amount of respect. But my father's been paid for that in full. For all the shit I have taken over the years being the whipping boy. If you look in psychological terms, they call it the scapegoat. Every dysfunctional family has a scapegoat. And that was me. I was the whipping boy. And that was fine. I was used to it. But he didn't protect us. I'll protect my wife and my children. I'll be goddamned if I'm gonna let them go through what I went through. Just, it's not gonna happen. And even after everything, I love my father. He's my dad. I used to idolize him, want to be just like him. And for a while there, I was starting to be just like him. I don't want to be like him. It's a long story with a lot of pain rolled up in it. A lot of pain. When you've got an 11-year-old child in a house who is spitting blood because they're such a nervous wreck that they got 2 bleeding ulcers, the conditions in that house are not good. It's fucked up. My brother's still got a nervous twitch to this day. If it was just me going through it, I'd still be talking to my dad. But I'm not having my wife. Nah, not doing it. I'm going to talk about something else because I get to talking it, I get worked up. I've worked through a lot of things in my life. When I found out my health wasn't good, I really meditated on my life and realized that I have spent almost all of my life on some drug, in jail, locked up somewhere, just angry at the world. And I worked through that stuff, a lot of it, because when I asked myself what mattered to me when I died, it wasn't fame, it wasn't money, it was just to be at peace and not be angry, just to be at peace. And that's the one peace that I won't have when I die, is that me and my father don't talk. And I've tried to forgive so many times, and it starts back up. And I know me, one of my strongest things I have going for me is I know myself and I'm honest with myself. And I will match shout for shout and punch for punch. And I know what'll happen. We'll be at a family get-together or something, and she'll sling some shit out the side of her mouth, and I'll tell her to go fuck herself. And then my father ain't got no choice but to respond to that, and I will not lose to that man. I'll do whatever it takes to win. If I was wrong, I would have apologized a long time ago. I believe when a man's wrong, he says he's sorry, he takes responsibility for what he did, and he carries the weight. He doesn't push it off on somebody else. My father's never wrong. Neither is my stepmother. It's another reason they don't. It's the most toxic relationship I've ever seen in my life. This will give you an example how bad it is. My half brother, my dad and stepmom's son, about 7 years ago, he says to me, Mark, sometimes I'm afraid to go by the house because I'm afraid one of them will have killed the other. And I kind of laughed, and he said, Mark, I'm being serious. And I said, Joshua, it was worse before you were born. Before you were born, it was just Sheila's kids. That's what she called us all the time, Sheila's kids. You were her son. Once you were born, it got a little better. So I know you're serious. But it's literally that toxic that it's a wonder one has not killed the other. And they both bear blame in the relationship. Both of them. It's the most venomous, toxic relationship I've ever seen in my life. And she ain't right. The woman's not mean. When I say she's evil, I mean she's evil. She enjoys inflicting emotional pain on people and stirring shit up between people. I need to get off of the subject because I just got a lot of hurt and anger about the whole situation. And I don't want to be angry and I don't want to be hurt. I was talking to a friend of mine, I'm not going to say their name because the conversation was between me and them, but they asked me one night, she had been through a lot of trauma in her life too, and she said, Mark, how do you deal with all the trauma you went through? And trying to help her, I had an epiphany. I said, I just try not to go there in my mind. It don't matter how many psychiatrists I see. It don't matter what medication they give me. Every time I think about my childhood, it hurts, and it's gonna hurt. There's no magic bullet that's gonna make it go away. So the best I can do is just try not to live there in my mind. And that's what I try to do. I try not to live there. That's why, telling my story on my last channel, it's emotionally hard for me. I don't even like having my face out in the public. I'm the type of person that likes to just be a no-name. Like over here, this shithole here. This is the asshole of the country. Over here on the east side. And over here, I got a name. I went out to Arizona, I was a no-name. And I loved it. I'll tell you something about getting a reputation and getting a name. Being a tough guy is a fucking colossal waste of time. Once you start getting a reputation as a fighter, I had people coming up wanting to fight me I didn't even know. Just because if they beat me, then they're a tough guy. And it's a waste of time. Because let's say you're some badass. Most people like me, there's somebody right around the corner waiting to put me right on my ass. But let's say you're some Bruce Lee or you're some badass dude, Chuck Norris or something, you know? Or Mayweather. Someday you're going to get old. And some young buck is going to come put you on your ass. So being a tough guy is such a waste of time. Because you can never be the toughest. There's always somebody that can take you. It's just a waste of time. If you want to be tough up in your brain. Take care of your family. Take care of your wife. Then that's a tough guy. It's like alpha males, you know, they always, the alpha male's the biggest and the strongest. That's not always true. It's not always true. A true alpha, typically, yeah, they're the biggest and the strongest, typically. I've seen dogs that were alpha, a lot smaller, a lot of big dogs tucking tail, because they knew that smaller dog was alpha. But a true alpha isn't the biggest and the strongest. True alpha is the biggest and the strongest that will put the pack before himself. What's best for the people he loves matters more than his own safety. That's a true alpha. If a person's the biggest and the strongest, but they put themselves before the people that they love, they're not an alpha. They're just a big bully. A true alpha will die for the pack. A true alpha will let everybody else eat before he eats. That's a true alpha. If you're the biggest and strongest and you don't put the people you love before yourself, you're not an alpha. You're just a big fucking bully. And one thing being in a maximum security penitentiary taught me, it don't matter who you are, you can die. Guards died. Doesn't matter who you are. They send enough torpedoes at you, you can die. I seen two guys one time stab each other to death over a state t-shirt, a regular white t-shirt, and they would put your number with a stencil on your shirt so people knew whose was whose. Two guys stabbed each other up real bad over a state t-shirt. Had to take them both up out of there to hospitals and shit, and I don't know if the one made it. When you see blood coming out of a man's chest and it's got bubbles in it, pretty good indicator that you got the heart or a lung, because he's getting oxygen in that blood, making a bubble like that over a state t-shirt. And people say, well, that's stupid over a t-shirt. Well, in prison, you can't let nobody take nothing from you. You let them take your t-shirt, next thing you know, you're on a liquid diet. They're taking your food. Then maybe they'll take your rear end. You can't let nobody take nothing from you. That's the hardest thing still to this day that I haven't been arrested since 1991. I changed my life. But to this day, I still have that prison mentality where you feel like every little disrespect has to be responded to. And in prison it does. Because everybody's watching you at all times. You're in a world with a bunch of predators. And they're watching everybody all the time looking for any weakness. If somebody disrespects you, you have to respond immediately to that. But out here, unless somebody's trying to take your life or a family member or somebody you love's life, it's just pride. It's just pride. It's not life and death out here. You don't have to respond to every disrespect. And that's, as somebody that's done time in prison, that's a hard thing that I still struggle with. And I'm sure most people that have been to prison will tell you the same thing. My buddy Johnny's getting ready to go back. He don't ever learn. He spent 22 years in prison. And every time he gets out, I try to keep him out. And he goes right back. He can't handle it out here. This last time he got out, he called me up. He was flipping out, and that's what's wrong. He said the guy he was talking to about insurance on his truck was getting smart with him. I told him, I said, Johnny, if people nowadays feel like they can say whatever the hell they want, when they want, and there ain't going to be no consequences for it. If you're going to be living out in the real world, you got to get used to that. Everybody got a mouth on them nowadays. Because we've raised a generation with no consequences. Mommy and daddy's told them that they're the center of the universe and the whole universe circles around them. They've gotten everything they wanted since the day they were born. Everybody at school gets a trophy. And they haven't had consequences for their actions. So they feel they can do and say what they want, and there's not going to be consequences for that. I love my country very much. But we have had it good for so long in this country that we have become very self-entitled and very spoiled. My daughter, when she was in high school, she was getting ready to graduate. She said, Dad, you know what? She said, I'm kind of glad that we didn't have a whole lot of money. I said, why would you say that? She said, I got some friends that their biggest trauma in their life is their mom and dad took the cell phone away from them. And if something would happen to their mom and dad, they wouldn't know what the hell to do. They would be completely lost. And I'm not talking about all young people, but there's a good number of young people nowadays that are very self-entitled and spoiled. And if bad times ever would hit this country, most of them would not know what to do. We've had it very good here in America for a very long time. What we need to do is mind our own damn business, and we need to get things right here. We got a serious mental health problem in this country. Serious mental health problem. Everybody gets to bitching about the guns. It ain't the guns that take people out. It's the person holding the gun. And I was a criminal long enough to tell you that you get rid of the guns, the criminal's still going to get them. Take away the guns, that just leaves the law-abiding citizen defenseless. Because anybody I knew that was living a criminal life, they didn't go buy a gun legally so that they can be traced right back to them with ballistics. They either got it robbing a house and stealing one or on the black market. And then everybody's attacking the police. You know, I don't have the police over for dinner. Most of my friends are convicted felons, the few that are left. But I don't look at the police as the enemy anymore. When I was younger, they beat my ass a bunch of times. But you know what? I was cussing at them. I was spitting at them. I was taking punches at them. And I was telling them I screwed their mother. I'd have beat my own ass. I was being a little punk. I'm red flagged in every police cruiser in the country. And I know that because they had me and my wife face down in Arizona. When he finally let us get back in the car, I said, what was it? He goes, you can go. I said, well, wait a minute. What did I do? He goes, you were doing 5 over. I said, so you pull a gun out on my wife? And he said, well, you red flagged me. And I work construction. I said, I don't even got my work truck. I'm thinking it's something I tie on my ladder when it's hanging out the back of the truck. And he said, no, on my computer. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, it says you're a known prison gang member, you're extremely violent, dangerous, and I need to be very careful with you. And I said, sir, I've never been to prison in Arizona. He said, this is nationwide. You're on a federal gang database. And I didn't know that. I come back and I talked to my one homie, Johnny, that was in the same organization I was in prison. And I told him about it. He said, yeah, you didn't know that? I said, no. He said, once they know you're a flag holder, yeah, every gang member in the country goes on that list. But the point is, when I get pulled over by the police, for the last, since I got out, I say, yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I keep my hands on the steering wheel. They ask for my driver's license, car insurance, registration. I give it to them. And I don't fuck with them. And you know what? There's never a problem. They're always respectful with me. Sometimes in life, you get what you give. If you're being an asshole to them, they're probably going to be an asshole back. If you're being respectful, whenever I was younger, many times I had my ass beat by the police. Since I got out of prison and I'm respectful, never a problem. Actually, my wife gets mad because I don't get tickets. Usually it's okay, come to a complete stop. Okay, slow down a little. But there's never a problem. Because I'm not cussing at them, being an asshole. And look at it this way. I'm not going to go into the details of what happened, but the cops where I live, they're all going to counseling right now. Because some weak-ass dude took a mother, 2 daughters out, and himself. And they had to go in and see all that. Now think about this. You are dealing every day with women that are beat up by their husbands, women that are raped. You're dealing with assholes every day at work. After a while, it would be real easy to get hard-hearted and start looking at all people as assholes. The shit they see every day. They don't get paid much, and they got a shitty job. Very high alcoholism rate, very high suicide rate. And there was a time in this country that little kids and people looked up to them. Not no more. Not no more. They don't even get that now. I don't see them as the enemy, and tell you the truth, I'm glad they're there. Because if you didn't have the law enforcement towing the line and keeping things in order, believe me when I say this, out here would make prison look like a good place to be. I've lived with the wolf, and the wolf will feed on the sheep without mercy and ravenously. So don't get mad at the sheepdog that protects you from the wolf. It's like that colonel said, they used it in the movie American Sniper, but there was a colonel that actually said that in the military, used that analogy. Most people are sheep. They don't have it in them to be violent. And they don't like the sheepdog because the sheepdog can be violent. But the only time the sheepdog's violent is when he's protecting the sheep from the wolf. If you didn't have the police there, believe me, the wolf would be feeding on the sheep. The wolf don't have no mercy for you. The wolf don't care about you. And it's the police that keep the wolf from feeding on you. So people need to stop attacking the sheepdog and be grateful they're there. Because like I said, I've lived with the wolf. I've fought with the wolf. And most of these people want to get rid of the police. They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. It'd be 2 days without the cops and they'd be screaming for them to come back. Well, I'm going to hop off here. I'm over at my brother Bobby's now and spend some time with him. But much love and respect to you guys. And I'm not trying to be negative. Just trying to share a little bit of my life, and hopefully somebody hears me and listens and opens their eyes a little bit, you know. Well, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.